Hey, 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 everyone. We are live for a very, very, very special Dress Your Mate meeting with the one and only Leah Vernon. So, hello, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Alrighty. So I think before we get started, let's everyone do the social media thing and let's share, 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 guys, because this is going to be an epic conversation. And you're super duper amazing and have so many things to talk about. So go ahead and share it. I'm going to share it on my end. If you are catching in and tuning in right now, please share it out as well. Share out the link. And then, Leah, you tell me when you're ready to get started.
Okay. Wait, quick question.
Yeah.
So, can I share this after we're done? They can watch it again after?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a regular live. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll just share it then afterwards with the link.
Okay. Alrighty. So I'm just
It's
going
going to be
to
too
share
much
it.
for me to figure this out at this moment, and I don't want to take up like 10 minutes to try to figure out how to do it. But
Gotcha.
okay, yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to be sharing for a little bit right now, but in the meantime, then why don't you get everyone up to speed at least about who you are, all the amazing things that you do in life.
Yeah, so my name is Leah V, and I just woke up. I did put some lotion on my melanin, so my skin, is gleaming. But yeah, I just woke up, and I am from Detroit originally. I moved to New York 8 months ago. I am a plus size hijabi model, a body positive activist, a new author, and yeah, I go around to different universities and schools speaking and spreading inclusivity in the media and in the beauty industry and all the industries where marginalized bodies
Mm.
don't have a voice or a platform.
Mm.
So that's kind of what I do.
Okay, great. And why don't you share a little bit about how you got started? What made you say, you know what, I need to be an influencer, I need to be an author, I need to be a blogger, I need to be a badass woman, forcing people to confront some of their biases and internal hatred?
Yeah, I think I always tell people I think sometimes I kind of fell into it. If for the ones who've read the book or want to read the book, there is a part in there called the angry black bitch, and I go for and explain what that means to me and what I think it should mean to other people. But I think we are all born with this kind of rebellious spirit, this spirit where it's just like basically the best you, right? The best version of you.
Mhm.
And depending on how the world treats you and how you treat yourself is whether this spark is going to basically thrive or if it's going to hide. And people try to snuff out those flames, I mean, those sparks. And
Mhm.
so I kind of fell into it where I was not my truest self when I first started. I was trying to be like other people. I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I thought I was going to flown out and be fancy all the time with
Mhm.
very minimal self work. And of course, that
Mhm.
didn't happen. And at
Mhm.
one point in my own frustration of like, why isn't this working? I basically kind of found myself, and it was very amazing to be like, okay, let's cut all the other stuff. Let's what's the bare bones of me? And
Mm.
for myself, I am words, I am story, I am narrative, and
Yeah.
I would do that for free. And that's kind of like what kind of pushed me into sharing more stories about the different things that are going on in the Black community, in the Fat community, in the Muslim community, um, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, and kind of how we stunt our own selves and how others, inadvertently and just in your face will try to stunt us too.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so what I found really interesting about, do you have a copy of your book near you that you could show on screen or no? Because I have the Kindle, but
I
I don't.
do. 1 second. You
Okay.
have any pants on.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had it on the little stand. Like,
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
yeah.
Please show that for everyone. Yes, that is such a beautiful cover. Now, who shot that?
My friend actually, Daniela, um,
Mm-hmm.
shot it. She's in Detroit. She's an amazing photographer. I remember it was down to 3 photographers because
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Detroit and everyone's so talented there. And I was like talking to my close friends, like, so who do you guys think can like shoot the hell out of this cover? And Daniela was One
Mm.
out of three. And I remember meeting up with her and like, I want you to do this. And she's like, almost starts crying. She's like, thank you so much for like trusting me with this. Like, this is so amazing. And so I sent her like shit ton of books. And so now she has a bunch of books. And
Awesome.
it was her first cover. So
Beautiful. Okay. So first, how long did it take you to write it?
it took 3 angry months. Uh, first, like
Okay.
I write really really fast. Uh,
Wow.
the thing about me is that it takes me a long time to put it down. So I'll
Mhm.
be thinking about something for like a year and a half, and then and then when I put it down, it doesn't take long to write it. And people keep asking me, "Oh, how long it take you to write this?" I'm like, "Just 3 months." They're just like, "What?" I'm like, "I write really fast," and so it's just I let my own fear kind of make me not write stuff. So I'm
Mhm.
get over that. But yeah, I just had got divorced. I
Mhm.
was in a very bad situation. I didn't have family or friend support. Really, I didn't have any jobs.
Yeah.
I had very to little no savings. Just moved in with a random person who turned out
Yeah.
to be amazing. And
Mhm.
mental illness, no prospects, and I wrote this book out of all of
Mm.
that. So
Interesting. Wow. That, I mean, yes. And you guys watching it, you can get it on Amazon. Can you get it wherever books are sold, or what's the
yeah,
process? Yeah.
yeah, everywhere. Barnes and Nobles is. I've seen people all over the United States going to bookstores,
Mm.
have it. I've seen some in Canada, some in Europe.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get it in Germany. This one lady requested some in Germany.
Wonderful.
So yeah, we're trying to be international, whatever.
Wonderful. And what I thought was really surprising. I mean, you're definitely all 100%. You keep it real on social media. You share all of you, but in the book, I felt like you shared so much of you. Like, how was that experience being so vulnerable and sharing like really private details about your sexuality, about your body, about other people, and like walk me through that process?
Well, it was really funny. My friend, he gave the book to his boo thing, and she was just like, she knows me, but not that well. We've went out to dinner
Mhm.
times, but like she doesn't know me. And when
Mhm.
she was reading it, she's just like, yeah, it seems like she didn't think this was going to get published. And I was like, you are correct. Like I never, the 3 books that I have prior to this are not memoir. They're not nonfiction at all. I'm making up these worlds and making up these characters.
Mhm.
Like straight, I'm putting this on the page because I need to release the trauma. A lot of the
Mhm.
stories I've never told anyone. A lot of the stories were secrets for a decade,
Yeah.
and so a lot of that stuff was basically like a diary at first. That's kind of how it started. I was like, you know what? All the bad things that's happened to me and the good things too. I want to put it down on paper. I want to um, have some of that weight released from my shoulders. And so I didn't
Mhm.
really expect it to get published. I
Mhm.
was just doing it because I needed to release something, and
Mhm.
that was a product of that. It definitely wasn't easy going when I got the agent and the
Mhm.
publisher. I was just like, so this is gonna be a real ass book. Okay. So I was
Yeah.
like, maybe I should have put that in there. But I thought it was I want the reader to, when they pick up the book, when they read the book, when they
Mhm.
read the book, I want them to be like, she could possibly be my friend. She could possibly like I wanted you to
Yeah.
get that like first row experience as I'm experiencing these situations, good and bad. And I wanted to
Mhm.
that rawness and that same complexity and that same energy as if your friend was telling you a story.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so there's a lot of topics you address in the book. You talk about race, you talk about religion, you talk about being a feminist, relationships. What I thought was interesting is when it comes to like black and white relations. I guess I'd love to hear just like your comfortability in talking about it, because I find as a person of color, sometimes it feels a little challenging to talk about like white culture or white people without us being perceived as angry or salty, or what are your thoughts about that, and what do you think the reader will take from kind of the language and how you describe and go into those that context of stuff there?
Yeah. So I mean, you know this as well as a person of color, as a black woman, a strong black woman.
Thank
And
you.
any I remember when I was in my master's program, I had a white mentor. His name is Taylor Politis. Love him to death.
Mm-hmm.
I was working book number 3. This is 4, but 3 before, this one got published. And I was telling him, I was like, I feel like some of the topics in this would make white people uncomfortable. Like how do you kind of get over that? And he's like, Leah, you are writing for you at the end of the day. And this is a white dude, and he's read my stuff before. He's like, you are writing for you. You are your audience. Now, whoever likes it or doesn't like it, that's not even up to you. Your job is to write. Your job is to write truthfully and authentically and genuinely. And I'm like, oh my God. Telling me like that's not a concern of yours. And so I kind of put that in other places in my life. It's really interesting that when I was in a workplace, I would try my best to be very quiet, very passive, because I didn't want people to think I was an angry Black woman. And because no matter how hard I tried to conform, I was still seen as an angry Black woman. And I was like, I'm not even saying anything. And so I was like, yeah, that's all of that. So if you think I'm an angry Black woman, then that's what I am. If you want to transcend and go into my community and understand systematic racism and how we don't get paid enough and how we have to work 3 times as hard as a white woman, then so be it. I don't really care about that anymore. And I've had like some white reviewers talk about how harsh I was and how I capitalized Black but not white, just being super petty. And I'm like, honey, you keep reviewing those books.
Yeah.
Keep doing you. This is how I talk. This is how my people talk sometimes. If it makes you uncomfortable, delve into why that's making you uncomfortable. Don't tell me that I'm harsh or that I'm all these things. This is who I am. And so I actually like really enjoy like making white people angry. Because for so long, my grandmother and my grandfather and my own mother have been made fun of because their hair and made fun of. And, like I'm not my grandparents, and so I do what I want, and you can take it or leave it. So that's how I feel at this point.
Fair enough. That's such an interesting point of advice, though, that like you are your own audience and you should write for yourself, because, when you think about like business or marketing, right, it's always about like the customer and the other person and the other person's views. So that's interesting to kind of flip the script for being an author to like, what if you're writing for you, what would that look like? What does that read like for you? That's interesting, huh?
Yeah, my mind was like blown. I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah, like that's so different. Okay. No. Now, when we get to the conversation of fat and being plus size and loving your body, what, based on how you talk about your body and how it's been interpreted, it's sexualized and all of that, what do you think the reader takes away from the experience? What do you want them to walk away knowing about you, but then also imbuing that upon themselves and how they should view their body and their body confidence?
Yeah, I think that answer changes. I mean, when I was first writing it, I really wasn't thinking about necessarily what other people would take from it, even like on my Instagram. I think about it a little bit more now, but sometimes I'm just like, whoever's going to take from this is going to take from this. But now that the book is said and done and already out there in the world, I would want them to understand that there's not just one side of a coin, that there are so many different narratives out there. Narratives that we may not ever understand, but we will respect, that we will learn to respect. And like, I've come from a very, I would say, closed-minded community of individuals, and that's where I grew up. I was very shaming of people, shaming of that woman wearing clothes. Like, I was that person who was like, oh, she shouldn't wear that, or oh, she's Muslim and she doesn't wear hijab. Like, tis. I was that person. That's what the society and community I was brought up in. But it's like, you can change. You can respect other people's differences without doing it yourself, like, or making them feel bad about it or hurting them. So I think that I want people to take from this book that you don't have to be a fat Black Muslim to understand identity. You don't have to be a fat Black Muslim to understand that there are different narratives out there that also need to be put on the forefront And so I think, like, even with my social media, I'm still so shocked that I have um 6-year-old white women from the Midwest who are like, yes, fat, black, and Muslim. Like, I have like Arabic women. Like, no, I'm not kidding. I have 13-year-old girls from the Middle East, like, yes, like, do that. Like, I have, like, queer men, trans people. Like, I have, like, I never thought like I'd be able to affect as many people with just me talking shit on the internet and telling stories with
Yeah.
photos, of course. But like, I didn't know that that reach was so big. I didn't know that we all had something in common, which is identity, and wanting to explore that and having the right to explore that. It's our
Yeah.
human right.
Awesome. Okay. Now, going into the conversation about being Muslim, what made you, I know you've been, I think, Muslim your entire life, right? Based on the book, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you want to be Muslim? Did you have a choice? And now throughout your life as a Muslim, I guess, how has it changed, or what's been the most surprising part of it? And what is, like, if someone's tuning in watching this now on the live or on the replay, what do you feel is a missing conversation about being Muslim in America? And then if you want to, go global.
Yeah. So, I mean, and you probably all know this too, like, as, like, again, a black woman, when we see images, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
I never really saw images of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only plus size women who were like kind of killing the game back in the day when I was growing up was Oprah,
Mm-hmm.
and that one lady from The View. What was her name? She was like the
Oh,
original OG on The View.
is it Star or?
Yeah, Star something. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what happened to her now, but so
Mm-hmm.
her and then Monique, like, those are like the three
Yeah.
ones where they. I mean, two of them weren't like. I mean, one of them weren't mainstream. Like, Monique was kind of like, in the underground scene, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the only three that I had. All three of
Mm-hmm.
these women were not Muslim at all. And so that really did something to me, because I was constantly seeing thin white women, or like thin biracial or ambiguous looking women,
Mm-hmm.
promoted over, everybody else. And so that
Yeah.
really messed up my body image. I didn't want anything to do with my melanin. I didn't want anything to do with my hair texture, with my hijab. I wanted to be as close to white and not me as possible. And it's embarrassing to say that, but there's so many people of color out there who are
Yeah.
trying to reach this when they try to be like us. Okay. And selling us back to us, whole other situation. But
Yep.
anyway, and so representation is so powerful. I don't care what anyone says. And if they do say it's not important, it's because they always see themselves, and they don't have to deal with that and worry about that. But it hurts people
Mm.
to see themselves.
Yes.
So it's just very interesting how I think that I just think that when someone sees me in an ad and they're tagging me and taking pictures of me and like with my face on something, like, that is the most amazing feeling ever, to be like, wow, uh,
Mm-hmm.
as a fat black Muslim woman who's never seen, because our narratives are always swept under the rug. When you think about Muslim women, you see white passing or Middle Eastern size 2 hijabi, um,
Mm-hmm.
who wears pastels and prays all the time, and she doesn't make any mistakes, because Muslims can't make mistakes. And
Yeah.
that's what you see in the hijabi sphere. That's what you see when you see the million follower hijabi accounts. Like, you don't see bodies like mine. And
Yeah.
so I am the first fat black Muslim to do many things internationally and nationally. I
Yeah.
hope that there are more coming behind me. I see some, but I want to tell them that this is definitely not an easy path. It's definitely not. Um,
Yeah.
they don't want to see us, but we're gonna make them see us.
Yeah.
And I wanted to quit many, many times, because this industry is extremely difficult, very
Mhm.
fatphobic, very Islamophobic. And I've still come through with the come through. I might not fit all the requirements, but I'm still producing.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, this is what needs to be done. Like, there needs to be different alternative Muslims,
Mhm.
or people with, who look different, who have one leg, who have a missing thumb, like,
Yeah.
a gap. Like, we need to see these things, because it's important to see ourselves in the media.
Absolutely. And I mean, would you say it's fair, since you said that kind of people see Muslim women or people that, like you, it's a religion that seems kind of a bit unforgiving? Is that true? Is that just a misconception? Because it does seem more strict in the sense of how there's certain rules that people adhere to, but Is that like a misnomer?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that my own people, create these narratives that are not necessarily correct. And when I say these people, I mean Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Muslim men who are, and not all, I don't like to make all statements. The ones I've come across, especially like back in where I'm from, in Michigan, you'll have misogynist Muslim men who
Mm-hmm.
feel that as a Muslim woman, you should do all these things, be very holy, be very this, very that, and them, they get all the excuses in the world to do what they want to do because they're men. They have that right to do more than you, and
Mm-hmm.
so, but this is not just in Islam. This is other organized religions as well, like Judaism and Christianity. So I like to make that very clear. It's not just a Muslim problem.
Yes.
It's a cultural, it's religious problem.
Mm-hmm.
The sexism is so real sometimes. I've had to cuss out many a Muslim men for coming at me hard. And I'm like, you probably should.
Mm-hmm.
The same forgiveness that you want for your fellow brother, it should go for your fellow sister as well. And I have to catch several of them on sexist statements and
Mm-hmm.
all types of things. And so Islam does not teach that a man is better than a woman. It does not teach the oppression of a woman. It
Mm-hmm.
teaches forgiveness. That is very much so sprinkled in our holy book. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that a lot of Muslims play into that role of, oh, well, we need to be perfect at every single moment. It hurts other Muslims who are not perfect, and a lot of them aren't. Like I always tell people, I don't trust a Muslim who's perfect. Like I don't, and they'll try very hard to make you trust that they're like amazing. They're going to heaven.
Yeah.
Everything's great. Those are the worst ones. Those are the worst
Mm-hmm.
ones. Like, and so it's very interesting to
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of bring other people who are not Muslim into like Muslims, right? Because like sometimes
Mm-hmm.
Muslim communities and it's very like hush hush, don't say this, don't say that, especially to outsiders. And so
Yeah.
I ask you those questions like, oh, do they really do this in Islam? Like I don't know. Like can I ask?
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people, ask a Muslim. Like of course some of them will lie and tell you everything's great, but then you'll have ones like me, like what you want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then I know I only have you for a couple more minutes, so I want to hit mindset because I do follow you on social media, and we've you've been gracious enough to interview with me now twice, and I really adore you, and I admire your strength, and I admire your fearlessness. I think it's an honor to have you in my network, and it's an honor for you to come here. So thank you for that. When it comes to keeping yourself motivated and positive, I guess what would be one of your biggest struggles, because I think that people don't talk enough about the down and the bottom side of entrepreneurship or being a creative, but then how do you get over that? How do you wake up today and still accomplish goals and still keep pushing the narrative forward?
Yeah, so I be wanting to quit like every day. That's the truth of it. I think I want to quit less now because I'm so far in it. Uh,
Okay.
you like once you're so far into something, you be like, I done did all this stuff. I can't quit now because I'm too far.
Mhm. Mhm.
It was funny because people used to always be like, I'm like, yeah, I'm stopping. They're like, no, I don't think so. And so
Yeah.
so the first thing is I think that people, you have to surround yourself with good people, genuine people. And it sounds extremely cliche, but I don't think people understand the power of a good cutoff. I
Mhm.
have lost many and many and many of friends. I've lost a whole ass husband.
Yeah.
My mom be in and out. My cousins be out. Um, People
Mm.
in the industry who have supposedly supposed to be there for me have been cut, and old and new get the cut. And people are like, "Oh, Leah V, you're so savage! Like you just cut people left and right." Like no, I would not
Mhm.
be here right now if I had carried old clippings into the new decade.
Yeah.
Have to honestly be a savage when it comes to your space. Um,
Mm.
I'm not saying like don't be forgiving to people, but if I forgive you, you're gonna be over there. You've already chosen to be very untrustworthy and
Mhm.
loyal, and you just have a bad spirit. Like I go off people's energies, and,
Mm.
and that never proves me wrong. When I don't like you initially, I'm not gonna say I don't hate you. I don't hate people, but if I don't like you initially, I probably won't be around you because something about your spirit your energy, my spirit and energy don't click. And you could be an amazing person. We just don't click. And so because of that, you can't really be around me. And so I'm very, very protective of like who I'm around, who I'm going to brunch with, like who I'm, you know, talk who's ever in my space. And so you have to do that and go with kind of a fresh slate and be okay with being alone. Being an entrepreneur means being alone a lot, and you would not think that that would be the case because you're, especially if you're in the media, you're like on Instagram, you're on Twitter, like you're at these events. But at the end of the day, you're very, very alone because you don't know who you can trust. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, your family's not usually not supportive of you, or they don't come with you. It's a lonely thing, and so you have to be okay with being by yourself. The other thing I would say is that no one asks you to do what you're doing. You have a choice to be at home. You know, you have a choice to like not send out those pitches. You have a choice to not reach out to that influencer that you've always wanted to meet. And yeah, they might say F off and no, you're not important to me. They might, you know, delete your email. They've might ignore you. I've been ignored and deleted and blocked several times because I just shot my shot. They wasn't feeling it. But there's always that one person that will give you that yes. But I always tell people like no one asked you to do this. And so all the whining and complaining about people not doing what they do, go find your tribe. Go find your tribe that is going to mess with you heavy. There are so many people on this planet that will mess with you heavy. They might not be in your state, in your city, next to you, but trust me, somewhere out there is going to mess with you heavy and believe in your goals and your dreams. So you have to just get up understanding that this vessel is temporary.
Yeah.
It is a loner. And so what are you going to do to appreciate your loner? What are you going to do to live your best life in your loner? What are you going to do to celebrate your loner before it ends? And so I'm very, very conscious about that. Like, okay, you can do now, or you could just never do and just live basic.
I love that. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I would also just add to like for myself, you know, I've been, I mean, I would say like you, like been creating all my life, you know, but I started coaching and doing all the stuff I do in media for about 6 years now. But ultimately, you know, for us, like we just moved, I moved from New York, moved 2,600 miles to Arizona. And I think it's like, was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. I was not happy in New York. The New York hustle, listen, born and raised Manhattan. I know that hustle well.
Oh yeah.
But you know, New York's a certain type of crazy that you have to be accustomed to. So that's why when I saw that you had moved, I was like, you know, just sending positive vibes your way because it's a city that is filled with a lot of toxicity. It's filled with a lot of anger and disgruntlement because it's a lot to just exist there. Like much less thrive, just to exist takes a hustle in and of itself. So, you know, you have to really get your mind right for that type of living. And I wanted prettier surroundings. I feel like I've always been really interested with the desert and stuff like that. So I realized as well as you I hardly have any friends. I talk to my clients, I talk to my husband, my family, you know, a couple of people in our network, but yeah, I don't really, I like that you said savage. That's a word I'm going to keep in my mind for today. Like,
I've been called that so many times. I'm just like, me?
Yeah, I like that. Like, yeah, like be savage. Like very nice, very, very nice. And I guess just to kind of wind this down, like what's next for the book for you as an author? You mentioned 3 other books. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I want to hear. I'm like really excited.
So I'm working on book number, so the book prior to this that didn't get published, I'm working on that. It is not memoir. It is actually young adult dystopian. It's reverse history set in the future. So basically the premise is when African Americans enslaved white people. So it's very deep, it's very cool.
Did you just say African Americans enslaved white people?
Yeah.
I agree with you, Leah.
No, it's honestly it's a really good story, and I feel like it's very different from what people know me for. But like I started as a sci-fi writer, like that's what I do, And so it follows 3 young characters in the future. And I think it's gonna be really heavy, but I feel like it's gonna be a really good thing. I toggle back and forth from should I do another memoir or should I do this one? And my heart is telling me to do this one. And I'm working on that. So I'll be working on that for a minute. And I'm trying to get assigned to an international modeling agency. So hopefully that goes well. And and I have another really huge thing that we're negotiating.
Good.
I can't say anything now because there's no negotiations, but it's going to be
yes.
It's some LA shit and it's amazing. It's going to be big. And so let's put good vibes out for that deal to go through.
Yeah.
Announce once everything is signed and dated. Money is transferred.
When that bank looks right, yes.
Right. I'm trying to check the check. And so basically just continuously traveling. Might maybe find me a little Irish Bay, just like stuff like that,
Beautiful. Well, let me know if you ever come to beautiful Arizona. It's stunning here. It's really magical.
My sister lives there.
Oh, nice. Okay. And yeah, like where I'm at, I'm in, west of Phoenix. So I'm like 5 hours from LA and 4 hours from Vegas. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, show the copy of the book again and then tell everyone, where they can follow you, how they can champion you. Yes. Such a beautiful Yes.
So you guys can get the book anywhere. Unashamed, Musings of a Fat Black Muslim. Go Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, your local independent bookseller, and you can follow me at Leah Vernon 2000, where I have my daily shenanigans. Detroit girl living in a New York world, and eating a lot of food and talking a lot of shit. So yeah.
Yes, love. So and just out of curiosity, now that you've been in New York for what, about 7 months now?
Eight. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think it's very interesting here. There are a lot of opportunities here that I would never have gotten where I was. So it's very I feel like if you are a hard worker, and you're a hustler, you can get to where you want to be. I feel like people are very open here to different types of people, which is great. And the artists that I've met here are just so welcoming and so helpful. I don't really like the subway. It smells funny.
It does.
And I don't like all the walking because I'm a Detroit girl. We drive everywhere. But the food is amazing. So I think I have like a love-hate relationship with New York right now.
Yeah.
I can't imagine myself anywhere else right now.
Beautiful. And have you traveled upstate yet or no?
Not yet. No.
Okay. So yeah, you should I think Poconos is Pennsylvania, but like if you go upstate, Syracuse is lovely, Albany, there's some nice, like if you like the snow and skiing and all of that stuff, and it's so much more affordable than the city. So if you're into it, I definitely suggest it. I think that's a really pretty part of New York as well.
I'll have to hit up the upstate.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for talking about your amazing book and your incredible story. And again, I want to continue to champion you. And I encourage everyone who watches this on the live and the replay to give her book a read and to share it, right? Guys, we can't do things without you guys spreading the word. So share it, talk about it. And if you gripe with the conversation, have the conversation. Because what I do love about you as an influencer is you're open to that conversation, right? You engage people, whether it's positive, negative, or somewhere in between. And I think that's really powerful and empowering. So thank you. And do you have any last words of wisdom before we sign this out?
Eat good and take risks.
Perfect. I'm gonna get it tattooed somewhere. That's what eat good and take risks. I love it. Amazing. Awesome, guys. All right. So thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for the next dressing roommate book club meeting. Okay. All right. Bye.